Hello everyone. So I was sitting here earlier this evening and I was thinking of things to speak about to you, and it occurred to me that you guys might want to know a little bit more about me. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about me. I'm not going to give everything away on this video because otherwise, if I do, you might not come back or I'd have nothing to talk about. So I want to tell you a little bit about my childhood. I was born in Florida and I traveled around the world. My father was in the military. He was in the Air Force and he's since retired. He worked in communication field and I believe he enjoyed that. I know that he's a videographer now and that seems to be his passion, so I think he found, with his career in the military, it helped open doors for him later, although when he did get out of the military, he had a while where it was hard to find something that made him feel like he was using his skills that he acquired and his training that he got in the military. But he landed in a position and he seems to enjoy it and he's really good at it. My parents divorced when I was 4 or 5 years old. My dad got custody and he was able to take me and my sister around the world with him. We got to see some very interesting places. Before we headed overseas, he met and married my stepmother, and I love her to death. She raised me. She's just as much of a mother as, the woman that gave birth to me. They both have relationships with me, each in their own way, and, growing up it was hard because I didn't want to do something with one of them and hurt the other one, and I didn't want to call someone something and then hurt the other one's feelings. They both have valid parts in my life. They help mold me into the person that I am today, and they are both extraordinary women. My mother stayed in Florida for a while and met a man, and they got married, and they've been married for over 20 years, and they've moved all over the place. They are currently living between North Carolina and Georgia because my stepfather got a job in Georgia and they're building their very first, well, it's not their first house together because they've been married for over 20 years, but it's the first house that they're buying that they're building. And they're really excited about that. I hope to get down and visit them once they're settled and the house is done and they make the move. It's hard having excuse me, I got goofed with the words I'm trying to say. It's hard for my mom to commute back and forth because they still have a life in North Carolina, but they're trying to establish a life down in Georgia. So I believe by the end of the year they should be acclimated to Georgia and, happy and doing well there. My dad and my stepmother eventually moved to Virginia, and my dad retired here. I live in Virginia, and I have 2 more siblings from that marriage, and I love them to death. I have an older brother that was from a relationship before my dad and my mom got married. So I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters, all of which are over the age of 18. My oldest of the youngest sisters met a man and got married and has 2 boys, and the oldest one is 8. And she's an awesome mother. She works hard. Her and her husband both do, and they have a life with their little family, and Both of them actually homeschool the boys, and the boys are doing well in school. My youngest sister had a little boy, and he's cute as can be. He's a little ham. Then my youngest brother, he's not married yet, and he's got a girlfriend, and they seem to be going pretty good together, and I like her. She seems to be really sweet and good for him, and I like to see a smile on his face. My older brother lives, I don't know if I said, he lives down in Florida, and he doesn't get to see me that often, and we talk on the phone, if not daily, multiple times a week. Sometimes it's multiple times a day. It's hard when we live that far away because I don't get to see him that often. I don't make the trip to Florida as often as I'd like. I have had a visit with him up here in Virginia a few years back. It's been a little while. I can tell that he misses us because he never gets the joy of growing up. Well, he never got the joy of growing up with two sisters in the same house. He lived a different life than I did, and I feel bad that I couldn't be around him more. He's made a life for himself in Florida, and I believe it makes him happy to be there. And I've made a life in Virginia, and I'm happy up here. Let's see. What else can I tell you about myself? Oh, I did mention in a previous video that I was married before. I met a man after I graduated high school, and we were friends first, and then we started dating and we got married, and we were married for over a decade, and it just didn't work out. And during that time, life was tough. Life was really hard. There were some weeks I didn't know if we were going to be able to buy groceries. I didn't know if we could keep the lights on or if we'd be able to stay where we were living. I worked in the beginning and then developed some health issues that kept me from working, and I haven't had a full-time job in many years. I learn how to make my situation into the best that it can be with what I have. And I just have to be grateful and accept that I may not have a job, but a job isn't what's going to define me. And I just need to make Megan happy. And as long as I do good and I help others and I let others help me when I need it, I feel like I'm fulfilling that. Let's see. I got married in January. Well, yeah, Jamie and I got married in January, and that was a stressful time planning a wedding, around the holidays and everything. And the wedding turned out really pretty. It was a small, group of people that were there, but I felt like I had support, and it was nice. It was nice just to be able to celebrate two families becoming one and letting both sides meet each other. And it was the beginning of letting my mother back in my life, my birth mom, because we'd had a falling out, and we're still not back to what our relationship used to be, but we're working at it. It was a really beautiful ceremony, and it meant a lot to have as many of my relatives and friends that could be there, and it was awesome. Alright, that's a little bit of my life. I'll share some more in later videos. You guys have a good evening, and there's more to come.